Imagine a nation divided not by geography, but by ideology, where the same flag flutters over two conflicting visions of freedom. Welcome to the American Civil War. It was a time when brother fought against brother, where the battle lines were not just drawn on maps, but within the hearts and minds of the American people. At the helm of this epic conflict were two presidents, two leaders with vastly different visions, Abraham Lincoln of the Union and Jefferson Davis of the Confederacy. Lincoln, the rail splitter turned statesman, championed the cause of unity and emancipation. Davis, the Mississippi planter and West Point graduate, fought for states' rights and Southern independence. Their decisions, their actions, would shape the course of history and define the legacy of a nation. From the corridors of power in Washington and Richmond, two leaders emerged, steering their people through this turbulent era. In the North, President Abraham Lincoln, a man of humble beginnings, was tasked with preserving the Union. A self-taught lawyer from Kentucky, Lincoln's vision was one of unity, where every state, regardless of its stance on slavery, was part of a single, indivisible nation. As the Civil War broke out, Lincoln found himself in the unenviable position of having to make decisions that would not only shape the course of the war, but also the very fabric of the United States. His prime concern was not to end slavery, but to prevent the dissolution of the Union. He once said, "If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it." This statement, however, should not be mistaken as an endorsement of slavery. Lincoln despised the institution and saw its abolition as a natural step towards a more perfect union. This stance, however, did not sit well with everyone in the North. The northern states, a patchwork of industrialized cities and farmlands, were divided in their support. Many, especially in the industrial sectors, saw the abolition of slavery as an economic threat, fearing a sudden influx of cheap labor. Others, particularly those in the farming communities, were more sympathetic to Lincoln's cause, recognizing the inherent injustice of slavery. Yet despite these divisions, Lincoln held fast to his vision. He believed in the power of the Union, in the shared ideals and common destiny that bound its people together. And so, in September of 1862, in the midst of a brutal and unrelenting war, Lincoln made a decision that would forever alter the course of history. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring that all enslaved individuals in Confederate-held territory were to be set free. This was not just a war strategy, it was a moral stand. It signaled a shift in the Union's war goals, from preserving the Union to also ending slavery. Lincoln's decision to issue the Emancipation Proclamation forever shifted the trajectory of the war and the nation. His vision, his unwavering belief in the Union, and his courage to take a moral stand transformed a country on the brink of dissolution into a beacon of hope and freedom. In the South, Jefferson Davis, a seasoned politician and military man, took the helm of the Confederacy. A man of strong conviction and unyielding will, Davis embodied the spirit of the Southern cause. He was a man of the people, a leader who was prepared to make tough decisions and face the consequences, no matter how dire. Davis was not a man who sought war. Rather, he was a man who believed in the sovereignty of the individual states, in their right to self-governance and self-determination. When he perceived these rights being threatened, he made the fateful decision to secede from the Union, a decision that would lead the South into a conflict that would leave deep scars on the nation's psyche. Davis' decision to secede was not made in isolation. He was the voice of the South, the embodiment of its ideals and aspirations. The Southern states rallied behind him, drawn by his vision of a confederacy where their traditions and way of life would be preserved. From the cotton fields of Mississippi to the vast plantations of Virginia, the support for Davis was overwhelming. Governors, legislators, and ordinary citizens alike stood by his side, ready to fight for their cause. Yet, Davis was not without his detractors. Even within the Confederacy, there were those who questioned his decisions, who doubted his ability to lead the South to victory. His choices, particularly his military strategies, were often the subject of heated debate. But Davis remained steadfast, unwavering in his commitment to the Southern cause. Davis' leadership during the Civil War was marked by resilience and resolve. He faced countless challenges, from internal dissent to military defeats, but he never wavered. His belief in the right of the southern states to secede, to govern themselves as they saw fit, was unshakable. He stood firm, a symbol of Southern defiance in the face of adversity. Davis, a symbol of Southern pride and defiance, led his people in a desperate struggle for their vision of freedom. His stand, controversial as it may have been, shaped the course of the Civil War and left an indelible mark on American history. As the war raged on, the strategies and decisions of both presidents came under fire. The American Civil War, a chess game of immense proportions, saw both Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis maneuvering their pieces across a board stained with the blood of their countrymen. In the North, Lincoln faced the challenge of maintaining unity among the Union states. His Emancipation Proclamation, a controversial move, was a calculated strategy to weaken the Southern economy by removing the backbone of their labor force, the enslaved. This bold decision not only altered the landscape of the war, but also reframed it as a moral struggle for the abolition of slavery. Meanwhile, in the South, Davis grappled with the challenges of leading a newly formed Confederacy. Striving to balance state rights with the need for a centralized war effort, Davis found himself caught in a precarious dance. His decision to implement conscription, a first in American history, was met with mixed reactions. While it bolstered the Confederate Army's numbers, it also sparked discontent among his people, further straining the delicate fabric of the Confederacy. As the tide turned, both presidents had to adapt their strategies. Lincoln, with the Union's superior resources and manpower, pushed for a total war approach, aiming to crush the Confederacy's ability to fight. Davis, on the other hand, leaned towards a defensive strategy, hoping to wear out the Union's will to fight. The impact of their decisions was profound. Lincoln's strategy, although resulting in high casualties, eventually led to the Union's victory. Davis's defensive approach, while initially successful, could not sustain the Confederacy against the Union's relentless assault. Yet, it was not just the strategies that determined the outcome. The leadership of both presidents, their ability to make tough decisions amidst criticism, and their unwavering resolve played pivotal roles in shaping the course of the war. In the crucible of conflict, both Lincoln and Davis were tested, their leadership shaping the future of a nation. In the aftermath of the war, both presidents faced the judgment of history. The magnifying glass of time has a way of bringing into sharp focus the decisions and actions of our leaders, and so it was for Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is often regarded as one of the nation's greatest leaders. His legacy, however, is not without its controversies. Some argue that his decision to suspend habeas corpus was a necessary measure in a time of unprecedented national crisis, while others view it as an overreach of presidential power. Yet it's undeniable that Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation and his push for the 13th Amendment were instrumental in ending slavery. He expressed regret not for these actions, but for the devastating cost of the war, once stating, "I feel the pain of every casualty as keenly as if it were my own kin." On the other hand, Jefferson Davis, the only president of the Confederate States, faced a different judgment. His leadership was marked by a steadfast commitment to the Confederacy's cause, yet his presidency was fraught with political infighting and military setbacks. Davis expressed in his memoirs a deep regret for the loss of life and the destruction wrought by the war, but remained unyielding in his belief in the Confederate cause. His legacy, therefore, is complex, with some viewing him as a champion of states' rights, while others see him as a symbol of a divisive and painful chapter in American history. The governors and states that supported each president did so for a myriad of reasons: political, economic, and social. These alliances were not always clear-cut, and many were swayed by shifting allegiances as the war progressed. In the final analysis, the legacies of Lincoln and Davis, their regrets, and the way their actions have been interpreted by later generations are interwoven with the fabric of American history. Their choices, their triumphs, and their failures continue to echo through the annals of American history. The American Civil War, a conflict that defined a nation, was shaped by the decisions of two men. As we journey back in time, we remember the divergent paths taken by Lincoln and Davis. Lincoln, the Yankee president, guided by his staunch belief in unity, led the nation through its darkest hours with unwavering resolve. Davis, on the other hand, stood firm on his Confederate ideals, defending the rights and autonomy of the Southern states. Both men, in their respective roles, made choices that would forever change the course of history. The echoes of their decisions reverberate through time, shaping the nation we know today. Their leadership, while divided by ideology, was united in its impact on the lives of millions. As we reflect on this divided nation, we see the indelible mark left by these two leaders, a mark that continues to influence the narrative of the United States. As we delve into the mysteries of history, we are reminded of the profound impact of leadership in times of crisis.